for me when I was powerlifting, so for the longest time, I just ate whatever I wanted to eat. And then, so I was telling some of you guys yesterday, when John Wellborn came out to Westside, we were talking about maximum performance, and he played 10 plus, I think he played 10 years in the NFL, maybe longer. And I was talking to him, and he said the reason he was able to do that was for two reasons. Number one, he was able to deadlift over 700, so he attributed it to his strength level. But number two was his diet and nutrition. And so in college, like I always, you know, I knew nutrition was important, but I was more interested in strength and that kind of stuff. So I didn't really ever learn about nutrition. I think I have maybe one nutrition book on my shelf. And I always just let other people argue over nutrition. And what I found, and we kind of talked about it yesterday, Jamie, you know, the guy who's like added bread back into his diet and his performance went up. What I found was just like if I ate huge amounts of carbohydrates, rice, pasta, bread, all that stuff, like I was getting stronger. Now, performance-wise, you know, strength and performance is two totally different things in terms of, you know, I got stronger, but I wasn't able to really walk up a flight of stairs, tie my shoes, do those things. So as far as performance goes, I guess it's relative to what individually you're after and trying to obtain. But of course, at the time, I was willing to sacrifice all that other stuff and, you know, sacrifice some flexibility because my performance was fine. So I ignored a lot of stuff, and nutrition was one of those things I ignored until I met John. And he was telling me about nutrition. And so when I knew that I was strong enough to break the world record probably a year before I ever broke it. But for some reason, I couldn't connect the dots. I just couldn't put the things together in the competition. And so I started to like look into nutrition then. And basically all I did was just clean up my diet as far as, you know, stop eating like a lot of fast food and those kinds of things. And did well, broke the world record. And so really was able to get stronger, more anabolic, all those things from that. And then I found that my body weight wasn't going up, eating so clean, you know? So that's when I started pushing things back, eating massive amounts of food, unhealthy, that kind of stuff. And so, although I pushed my body weight up, you know, a year later squatted 1205, I got to the point in my powerlifting career, and some of you I was telling yesterday, but basically I got to the point where I had severe sleep apnea, I couldn't sleep through the night, I'd wake up choking out for breath, so I was too scared to go back to sleep, so I was physically exhausted all the time. And that's what kind of brought me to the end in terms of being a professional powerlifter, was because my health and everything was beginning to slide fast. And so I legitimately was like, I'm going to die in a few years if I don't get this stuff in check. And so I wanted to, like, I went to regional, I went to Ohio, the regionals in Ohio, and I'd watched CrossFit. And I like jokingly said, like, I want to do CrossFit someday. But I was looking at CrossFit obviously as a sport. I wasn't looking at CrossFit as a way to get in shape or anything like that. And so I, you know, thought to myself, I got to lose weight and that kind of stuff first. So the first thing I did, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, but I watched that movie, and of course, instantly went on a juicing diet, because I'm like, that's, you know, that's got to be, that's what this guy does, and that's what it's got to be the way to do it. And I have, I guess, obsessive compulsive disorder. Whenever I get into anything or want to learn something, like that's it. Like I'm 100% in. So I bought the juicer. I was going to the store and buying kale, and you know, and Grace was like, "Yeah, this isn't going to last for more." I'm like, "Yes, it's going to be fine." And backtrack a little bit. When I was working with Wellborn and stuff, like I got into the raw food diet, and at the time I had a humidifier, and I was like doing raw food. So like it wasn't the first time I just completely go one way. So obviously from the juicing diet, I lost that first, you know, about 20 pounds off of that. And of course I hated, all I was doing was drink juice, green juice, green juice, green juice. So after a while that becomes a little too much. And so, you know, looking at what other, that's when I went, when we moved to California and I started hanging out with Castro, and we went to a baseball game, and his wife was there, and we were talking, and you know, they noticed I lost a little bit of weight, and I was telling them, you know, yeah, I'm trying to lose weight, and if maybe when I get down, I'll do some CrossFit. And she said to me, she said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. She was like, CrossFit is the best way to lose weight. So I'm like, okay, you know, like I can take that challenge. And so I started doing some CrossFit workouts, and then started training a CrossFit PB with Brian and Anders. And of course, they're you know, as far as diet goes, you know, CrossFit's all about talking about paleo, and then there's zone, and there's all these different things. And so I looked at the zone diet, and you know, logically it makes a lot of sense, but I'm really bad at like measuring. I hate measuring, I hate weighing stuff, so I knew that I wouldn't do that. Like I need to be told, like basically eat this, don't eat this. And so I thought the paleo diet looked pretty cool. So I started eating the paleo diet, and of course I didn't really like learn too much about it. I just kind of, oh, it's meat and veggies and like some nuts and like, you know, the right stuff. And so being as I overate for so long, under eating was like super easy for me. Like, so like, you know, I don't get people who struggle with weight loss, because I had to gain weight, I had to force feed myself. So to not have to gain weight now, it's like I just, if I don't eat, I don't eat. I don't have an emotional attachment to food. It was always fuel. It was always, you know, a thing you had to do. So following the paleo diet was going great. You know, I lost, you know, some significant weight. I don't, 20, 30 pounds or something on it. But what happened following the paleo diet was I started to, well, number one, my body composition, like I was losing weight, but I didn't look better, you know? And so I just felt like a mini version of the fat version I was before. So like I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, man, I should like be getting some like veins popping or some abs, or like, you know, like you expect some physical changes, like you lose weight, but like, you know, me, I'm like wanting an 8-pack and, you know, veins, and there's like nothing there. And so I'm thinking like, man, am I really like only have like, you know, a little bit of muscle on me and like the rest is just pure fat? I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And you know, then I started getting nagging knee injuries and elbows. And what happened was basically I was starving myself. You know, I was just eating meat, a little bit of veggies here, but I really wasn't like, I wasn't eating for performance, you know. And so the aggressiveness of the workouts and those kind of things, I wasn't, you know, taking in enough fuel to do that. And so my body, I guess, even though I was losing weight, a lot of it was muscle mass. I was eating muscle mass and that kind of stuff. And then, so the reason Simon's here is Simon and a guy named Justin Ward have a product called Paleo for Performance. It's called Paleo in a Box, and it's performance nutrition for WOD athletes. And basically what that program made me realize was that like obviously the paleo, you know, obviously we should eat processed foods, right? We all know that, but there are certain things we have to do if we're going to follow this clean, you know, healthy eating lifestyle, if we want to perform at the same time, because the body does need certain nutrition, certain supplementation in order to recover, to do those things. And so the biggest thing that I started to learn was learn about how the body that, you know, wants to be in homeostasis and wants to have a balanced alkalinity level. And so when I started to understand the effects of different foods, whether they were even if they're non-processed, you know, the certain fruits, you know, the way they jack up your acid, you know, the acidity in your body, and those kind of things, and learning about the correct timing of those for balance, those kind of things made the difference. And then learning obviously about pre-workout and post-workout nutrition around, you know, the paleo beliefs, and about, you know, how we can use green juice and we can use supplements in order to make sure that we get that recovery and our performance does go up. And so that's why I think that a lot of times, you know, the diets that we're being shown are mainstream diets, and they don't carry over for performance. And so that's why I like what these guys put together. And so people ask me a lot for strength and those kind of things, like what nutrition programs I would do. And the reason I went back to eating so out of control is because I didn't have that understanding of nutrient timing, you know, what foods are actually doing internally, as far as whether they're, you know, acidic or alkalines, and like being in balance. And so those things really, once I started to understand that, not only did the weight loss start to come off again, but performance started to go up. So the biggest thing for me was like, I wanted to lose the weight, but I want to be aesthetic, and I want to look good, and I want to do those things, and I don't really know of anyone who doesn't want that. So if we're training our athletes for performance, if we're doing these things, there's obviously lots of diets out there, but my recommendation is to check out what these guys are doing. I'm going to have Simon come up and talk a little bit about the differences, as I'm not the expert in nutrition, and then at least you guys know kind of if you are looking for performance, it's something to check out.